Welcome back to Watch More Football. We're in episode 18 now, and you may have thought that was supposed to be last week. We did miss a week. I'll get into that in a little minute about why that happened and what we're going to do this week. However, you are watching us on the Genreverse Sports YouTube channel, so please check that out and give us a like and a subscribe if you can, because it is a new channel and it would help us out greatly, especially if you like the show, which would be even better. You can also check out the Genreverse, or the main Genreverse YouTube channel that we have, which has got all your entertainment news, reviews, reactions, covering many different genres on there about entertainment. And you can find all that in written format as well on lrmonline.com. And you'll find some articles written by me. About entertainment news, reviews, all that sort of stuff as well. But this is sports. We're talking Premier League football. I'm Cam, that's Dave, that's Ryan, and that's Mick. So if you've watched us before, we tend to start off each episode by going over our terrible predictions for the previous results and how bad our score is. Because we missed a week, we're kind of a week behind on that, so we're covering off the scores that we made last time. There was a show made to pick that up, so I'm just going to run through the points. The link I sent you, Kyle, anyway, producer Kyle, I'm talking here, has got all the results in them anyway of the last sort of 2 weeks that you can kind of flick through on there in terms of the results that have happened in the Premier League. However, ultimately Dave got 6 points, Mick got 5 points, I got 4 points, and Ryan got 3 points. So, terrible. In terms of the league standings, then, Dave, with his nice new stadium behind him, is now in the lead on 63 points. Mick is in second place on 62 points. I am in third place on 61 points. And there's no surprises that Ryan is in last place at the moment with 55 points.
It's fine.
Even when I have a bad week, Ryan still manages to outdo me in terms of bad weeks.
It's fine. I've broken the 40-point barrier, so I'm not getting relegated.
Yeah, I mean, at least you won't get there like you did this year, Ryan. So there is always that. There is.
Well, technically, you should have minus points.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I narrowly avoided a -1, didn't I?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, there could still be points deductions if your accounts don't match up at the end of the year. Deductions, don't know. It could happen. We'll just have to wait and see how that one pans out. We did some years did predictions for last week, but then because we didn't record for various reasons. But I'm going to be honest, the main reason we didn't record last week is because Kyle and I completely misinterpreted the fact that the clocks had changed in the US at a different rate from what the UK clocks did. So he was ready an hour earlier than us to record, and we had no time after that. That's essentially what happened. But anyway, we're back now. So we didn't do a set of predictions for the last set of games because we hadn't all done them at that point when we
I got 10.
The show.
Did you? I got 11
from 8 games.
Yeah.
So I was going to say how many games. So let me and just say that's what I got.
I mean, can we just? It's not going to make a difference, but right.
I mean, you can do what you want, man. What's this?
I got 3.
I think you're actually going to show us. Yeah. Oh, you're going to show us.
I got 3 again.
Jeez,
can I have them? Can I have them? It's not going to make a difference.
It won't make a difference at this point unless we give you the 3 points on your own and we don't give ourselves any, which is not going to happen. In terms of the kind of games that happened, I guess there was 2 sort of big games that happened that we should probably cover a little bit. One, because 3 of us are fans of the 2 clubs involved, which was Chelsea versus Newcastle. So we're going to talk about that one a little bit.
No, we're not.
We also should probably talk about the fact that Liverpool played Manchester City as well. It ended up a draw, didn't it? That one? Was it a draw?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah, 1-1. I think it was 1-1, wasn't it?
Yeah,
1-1. Well, City were pretty lucky, weren't they, from what I remember?
Yeah, well, so Liverpool missed
team.
Yeah, Liverpool was a better team. Luis Diaz was the best player on the pitch, but he missed quite a lot of chances.
He was also the worst player on the pitch as well.
Yeah.
The best
but they definitely should have had a penalty at the end of the match.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I think we all like
Doku kicking at McAllister. But then equally, Doku should have scored twice. towards the end of the match himself anyway. So, yeah, I guess draws fair result.
If you don't take your chances in football, this is what happens, and that'll be relevant to us.
I wouldn't have said it was a fair result because
Liverpool should
have been away with that in the second half.
They didn't, and I guess it's actually arguably a better result for Liverpool because they're already got that point, so a draw's slightly better for them than it is City. But who was the team that really benefited most from it was Arsenal because they keep winning and it lets them close that gap. So does everybody where do you all stand on the title race at the moment? Because I mean it's a good title race. It's between 3 different teams. They're all still in it. We only 10 games to go now. So anything could happen, and they've all or some of them have got to play each other a little bit. So where do you feel?
I'm kind of leaning towards Liverpool.
City.
Liverpool, but that's because you're kind of.
I don't know. I think they'll all 3 stay in it until the end. Obviously, the big one is Arsenal playing City next, so that's going to really go a long way to sort of indicating where it's going to go. But also, Spurs' match with City's been moved because of the FA Cup semi-final, so that's now like a midweek game before the last game of the season, which suddenly makes it a bit bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And it's at Spurs and City. City don't like going to Spurs, so.
No, I mean they're not a team that they tend to pick up a lot of results against, although they have beaten them already this year. But yeah, and you said what City? You still think it's going to be City that win it, Dave? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Just what I like at the end of the season, they become really consistent. Even though they're not showing consistency at the moment, I just think they've got the experience to go all the way.
They're still winning every week though, pretty much, even though I don't think they're playing the best football.
I don't think we're playing the best, and we'll discuss it later about yesterday's game, one against United. Now Liverpool played them. But I just think City will be a bit more experienced, consistent towards the end.
I kind of have to agree in terms of I think the team I would kind of like to see win it, even though I was annoyed at them earlier in the season as Arsenal just because they've not won it for so long.
I want Arsenal to win.
I think we all want Arsenal to win it,
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't. But that doesn't mean that they will win. So, no, you don't because your brother's a Liverpool fan and it's weird.
Well, I've grown up with like Liverpool kind of thing.
And one brother Liverpool. I don't get it. Just,
I still don't like them, but I still prefer them over the other two.
I think if you've got 2 brothers supporting different clubs, that's just bad parenting, to be honest.
Yeah, well, my dad supports Sunderland, so who are you going to listen to?
I mean, to be fair, at least you didn't go down that road.
Exactly.
Which I can only praise you to the high heavens for.
My dad supports Liverpool. Sunderland brother supports Liverpool. I listen to my mum. She supports Newcastle, so there you go.
Mum's no best.
She's a good mum. She's a good mum.
She is good.
That's the title race, and I guess on it goes, and I don't think unless somebody kind of falls apart, it's going to be any different towards the end. The big one's going to be when they play each other. Some games, which will still, as you said, City and Arsenal's coming up.
Yeah, that's the only one now, I think.
But... Yeah, it is. I think Liverpool have got a bit of an easier running, to be honest.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm leaning towards Liverpool.
Easiest running. Yeah, I guess
for me,
two of them have to play each other. It's going to be.
Yeah,
they all have to play Newcastle again. That's bad for them because they've all smashed us every game.
So, I mean, they all play Spurs again, and obviously that's a bigger game for Arsenal than it is the other two. But it was going to be originally that Spurs were going to play the 3 of them back to back to back, which was going to be fun. But that's been moved now. So.
It would have been fun. It would have been fun to see Spurs losing 3 games in a row.
Yeah,
I don't know. We can still play. Maybe it'll be
not really, because that gives Ryan hope that they'll get Champions League.
I mean, we're right back in the race, and we didn't even play this weekend.
Yeah, you're at least in the hunt for it. I think, which I don't think we are anymore, especially after
not Champions League
result against Dave's.
We haven't been in the hunt for Champions League for a while.
I think I'd predicted a draw. Some of you predicted Newcastle wins. Did Andy predict a Chelsea win in that game and get the points for that? No, I know, Dave, you didn't anyway because you'd never predict you win. But I don't think so. I don't think we all thought that Chelsea would win that. But actually, even though the score was 3-2, we were pretty rubbish, I felt, and we really didn't deserve anything. And actually, the score could have been higher the other way, to be perfectly honest.
Big difference to the game where you smashed us just 3 months ago. Big difference.
Yeah.
It's huge.
So, I mean, I don't know if you feel that you guys are improving, Dave. I think you are improving a little bit here and there.
I just think we're pure chaos. Like, there's times where we look like world beaters, and then we just capitulate. Like, against top 6 teams, we've been all right this season because we can take it to teams that attack.
See, I think we get our tactics.
We lose our nerve pretty quickly.
Because I think the way you play Chelsea is to sit back and defend. They can't break you down and then just hitting the break. Every time you've played against that this season, you've lost. And I just don't know why we didn't do that when we were away from home.
It's not the Newcastle way. It's not how one
I know, but we went and pressed you and we made the game easier for you because we gave you more room to manoeuvre in. But, anyway.
Saying that, I mean, you remember is it the League Cup where we beat you? And you sat back then and you were just terrible.
I mean, we were winning.
You only done it because
in the second half was only at the point you started.
You were winning because we basically passed back to the keeper, didn't we?
Yeah, well, you only freaking got the penalties because we passed it to a different player.
But you didn't show anything in that game to show that you deserve to be winning.
I mean, that might be true, but I don't think you did anything in that game to deserve.
No, we were just us. We just passed it around the final third.
And get beat of Liverpool. But I think you were the better team against us last week. I don't know, Mick, you anything to say about Newcastle? I think we're in the struggle bus big time this year at the moment. I just don't. I think we've got.
It hasn't been good.
Mentally,
it hasn't been good.
Performances convinced about us at all.
Performances haven't been good. Well, lately they haven't been good, should I say? But everyone's saying the season's over now because we've just been beating the FA Cup. No, it's not. We're only 4 points off 7th. There's 10 games left. We've got players coming back.
You're right in terms of that we should still be trying to get as high up the table as we possibly can.
The season's far from over. In terms of
where we started.
Especially the form of the teams above.
Yeah, but like you've only got 4 points to 7th with 10 games left. 8th will get you some sort of European football next season. Why is the season over?
Yeah, maybe.
You've also got to say that all the games we've got left are theoretically winnable games. I'm not saying we will win them, but they're theoretically winnable games. There's no City, Liverpool's, Arsenal's.
There's only Man U
in there
away.
At all. Man U away, which we tend to do okay. I know you're playing better now, but
that can go either way.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that can go either way. I don't think it's. Yeah.
So I don't say the season being over.
I don't know. I think
I don't think so.
Watching them against City in the Cup at the weekend, I think a lot of those players are on the beach, and I think as well, part of it is they're all knackered from the start of the season. That's a big part of it. Yeah. But I think as well, a few of them have probably been told that the club's going to move on from them and move on to better players, and just maybe that little sort of.
I'm not so sure they've been told that, Ryan. I would guess more that they just think it. Think that conversation's coming in the summer, because I think you'd be crazy to have that conversation with somebody at this point in the season. But I think that is coming for a few of them, like for sure. Yeah.
When do you think we've got
that maybe performed above their normal level last year and are kind of back to normal, and it's just not quite good enough.
You look at, all of the FA Cup games had teams at a massive disadvantage that put up a hell of a fight. All 3 of them, and Newcastle just sort of limply rolled over. And it, I
think only got beat by 2 deflected goals.
Yeah, but
I mean, I was going to say that I don't know if we
there was no point
fell over as too much as. By the time we were 2-0 down to 2 deflected goals, you kind of felt that there was no way back, and the players
we still had chances to score
as well. Yeah.
I mean,
but there was
Isak should have scored twice.
I don't know. I never got the feeling that Newcastle were going to get back into that. Whereas
neither did that.
Coventry were 1-0 up, 82 minutes in. They went 2-1 down, and then scored 2 stoppage time goals. Leicester came back from 2-0.
Give some help.
United did what we'll talk about later. But I
difference is we were against the team that were
really exciting games, except ours, which was just a bit.
Yeah,
boring. There's a little difference in that, though. We were against arguably the best team in the world.
But the best team in the world that they are very good, but it has been shown that you can get at them. Chelsea have got 2 draws out of them.
Well, we've beat them already this season.
Well, exactly.
But at the end of the day, like you said,
never looked like
that point of the season was when we were giving it all. Yeah,
in the League Cup when they were resting a few players, I think that has to be taken into consideration.
They didn't have Rodri then either, which probably helps.
They like to win, and they didn't have Rodri. Exactly, it helps a lot. They did have Rodri this week. They played the full squad. They were at home. Nobody ever gave us a chance anyway. As they said in the commentary and stuff like that, it's like City would have had to have an off day, and we had a brilliant day. That's the only way you get through that the tie to go your way. Neither of those 2 things happened, so therefore it just went the way.
We still had chances.
Really an easy afternoon for City.
He's actually definitely had 2 goals.
I kind of think he did okay with the first chance that he had in terms of the. I thought Danny Murphy in the commentary was absolutely scandalous at saying that basically he is a prick, but he should have put that in. It was a hard chance to take high. He controlled it really well, got it on target and put it off centre as well. It was actually a decent save, but it was a really hard chance to take. And Danny Murphy's like, you had the whole goal to aim at. Yeah, but when your leg's halfway between your head and the ground where you make contact with the ball, Danny, it's a bit hard to get it exactly in the place you want it, even for Isaac. Never mind Danny Murphy, because he wouldn't have done that for there. He'd have fell out of the tap here.
He would have had
a nosebleed being that far up the pitch.
No, I mean, he was a good player, Danny Murphy, don't get me wrong, but
what's he like?
I'd rather have Isaac finishing my chances than Danny Murphy, put it that way. Anyway, the rest of the games, though, that happened this weekend, we're on to this weekend now, and a lot of FA Cup games happened. They were all really, really exciting apart from our game. I mean, the Coventry versus Wolves game, where they come back.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, that just swung in so many different ways. Yeah. It was exciting to watch.
I thought it was deserved.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Coventry should have had that wrapped up by half time.
Yeah. I mean, Wolves kind of done all right to come back into it, but I think it was that Coventry are a much lower level that let Wolves get back into it. But I think overall Coventry deserved to go.
How did Sims miss that opportunity in the first half?
That's one of the worst misses I have ever seen in my life.
Unbelievable.
Really because, it comes to him and it's going fast, right? But all he has to do is
only 4 yards
all
out.
I need to do is control this at this point, and he just hits it straight away and it goes back exactly the way it came, straight into the goalkeeper's arms when he had everything else in front of him.
All right, Danny Murphy.
There was another terrible miss this weekend. Was it in the Forest game or something like that in the Premier League? Was there a terrible miss? Did anybody see that? I can't remember who it was.
There's a few goal line clearances. I think there've been a lot of bad misses this weekend from what I remember. I just can't remember players. I know Werner had a bad miss.
That's the one I might be thinking about. Actually, a terrible miss.
And Johnson had one like a minute later as well for Spurs, but he was offside anyway.
Yeah. Spurs could have easily won that game with just terrible finishing, and they got smashed. Yeah.
That's that first goal for Fulham.
I've never watched it. I only watched the highlights, but the commentators all said they didn't play like they normally play, and that they didn't really deserve to get in for the game.
I think bad finishing as well.
Fulham just sort of did them on the counter. They got in behind really easy. The first goal for Muniz was a really good one. Nice cross from Robertson.
He's on a bit of form, him, isn't he? 7 goals in 7 games.
Yeah, Muniz. Yeah, and Robinson's looking good as well. I know Liverpool were sniffing around him in January, weren't they? But he might make a move in the summer.
Somebody will probably go for him anyway. But and
it's funny because he's an American international, Anthony Robinson, but you see him in interviews and he's got the thickest Scouse accent
ever. I guess where we should go on to next is the other big exciting FA Cup game, Ryan. Which was that your mob
Chelsea Leicester.
I'll say. Well, I thought we'll talk about that one as well, but we can start with a Man United Liverpool game. It was a decent game to watch. I never watched the entire 130 minutes or 120 minutes of it, but the bits that I did see were enjoyable to watch and plenty of chances for kind of both sides. But I don't know. What's your views on it, Ryan? Since you're a Man United fan.
I haven't felt like that watching a football match since the game against Paris Saint-Germain.
Since Archie Gamble scored against Holland in 1978?
Yeah. No, since the Paris Saint-Germain game.
That's a train-spotting quote, if anybody's wondering where that comes from.
I remember your introduction to us as a group was flipping that train-spotting quote on its head and it being taken very much the wrong way.
Wait a minute. We need
you
to
said something. You said something about what the character was actually doing that felt like Archie Gemmell, and it was like, whoa.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Something that would be inappropriate for the forums where we met. So was that being a bit of a dick? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Anyway,
be quite antagonistic.
But that was a big high moment, as a United fan for a while. I think having Højlund back really helped. Having an actual back four back really helped with two fullbacks on the pitch. The midfield is still really open. Minu was basically being a one-man midfield, and
played well.
Liverpool have got a really good midfield three, and he really struggled with that. But I think now we sort of have to say that that's the game plan because we've been terrible in midfield all season. So I think Ten Hag is just sort of forgetting about the midfield. We're really good at defending in the box. That's been sort of a hallmark of the last little run. And we conceded a couple of soft goals yesterday, but on the whole, we're really good at defending in the box and making sure that when they do get to the box, they don't get very good chances. So that was good.
You deserve it overall, I do.
Do you think
ending the game with?
Sorry, do you think the pivotal moment was when Klopp took off Salah and Robertson, and on came, was it Bradley?
That absolutely helped.
And Gakpo, who was Gakpo.
Changed the game.
That absolutely helped because Wan-Bissaka was having a tough time against Salah, I've got to say. He was getting exposed a bit. But I think more than that was in the second half, Liverpool had a really prolonged spell of possession where we were just getting nowhere near them, not pressing them at all. They had that 5-on-2 break and completely fucked it. And I think that sort of was like, we can get something out of this now. And that sort of spurred everything on. But, Liverpool still had a lot of talent up front at the end of the match. And we had Bruno Fernandes on one leg playing centre back and Anthony at left, and they didn't really look like threatening. And it was great to see. It was great to see Ahmad get a goal, but I thought overall his play was really good. He was breaking up play really well, tracking back really well, but also his hold up play when we were breaking was excellent. But the two goals we scored in extra time were from Ahmad winning the ball back and setting off a move.
He goes against centre.
Like
worth it.
Like an absolute boss.
Until next weekend, at least you're back.
Deserved his moment.
Yeah. I think we could do without them against Brentford. I don't think that's going to be an issue. But we've been looking at him as a sort of like a right winger and a cover for Anthony or Garnacho. I'd like to see him used as sort of a sub centre forward for Højlund, to be honest, because his hold up play is very good and he's got the pace on the break that Højlund does as well. So hopefully he gets a few more chances.
What do we think of Liverpool in terms of the fact that they... Sorry,
I was just going to say Garnacho is absolutely brilliant. I thought he's
the
most exciting United player, I think.
It's between him and Tolo for player of the season, and I think just by virtue of him being a forward player, he's going to get it. For United, I'm not saying they're.
Yeah, I think he's been your best attacker consistently. I think he's strong at the start of the season, but he's only a kid.
So
the more he's played, the more
last season. last season he was only ever used as an impact sub, and it was, go on disruptive things, see what you can do, come up with the odd goal. But whenever he did start, he didn't really make an impact. This year, he's been trusted to start, and he's really taken on that responsibility of trying to make things happen. And a lot of what we do make happen goes to him, because he'll get a long punt, he'll control it really well, and just run straight at the fullback, and it works. It's what Rashford used to do when he broke through.
Yeah, let's hope slightly different. You know how I feel about Rashford. I'm not a fan. He's a bit of a prima donna, if you ask me. But
I think it was genius of Rashford to miss that chance at the end of normal time, so that we could have the absolute scene.
That was the key point.
Yes,
that allowed you to have the drama.
It would have been offside anyways.
I guess we're talking about you guys a lot about Liverpool, because they obviously missed the chance to do not the quadruple, which some of the fans have been saying, because the quadruple they would need to be in the Champions League for, and they're not, because we finished above them in the league last year, just saying. And so did Man United, just saying. But they did have a quadruple that they could have went for at that point. They're already the League Cup champions. They would have probably been favourites to have the most chance of beating City in a final at Wembley in the FA Cup, and they're out of the competition now. They're still in the Europa League, but they could end up, Klopp could end up in his final season with just one trophy, being the League Cup.
And we all know
that'd be a bit of a disastrous season for them, and in actual fact, would that be a bad season for them to finish on?
I wouldn't say so.
Winning one League Cup and be quite good.
It's been a good season. I imagine Liverpool fans have enjoyed watching Liverpool this season, regardless of how many trophies there are at the end of it.
They've been better than last year, anyway.
Yeah.
I still think that they must be massive favourites for the Europa League.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Bayer Leverkusen, haven't you?
Them and Bayer Leverkusen, isn't it?
Yeah, I
don't know. I don't think if West Ham beat Bayer Leverkusen, I'd be surprised. But
I don't know.
Yeah,
Leverkusen nearly fucked it up against Karabag the night, and
it's nearly fucked it up against most teams this season. But it's like this plot armor.
Yeah. I was watching them. I was watching the highlights of the game where they won again in the Bundesliga at the weekend, and it was just like they didn't look that good.
It's not convincing.
And Leverkusen scored 2 at the end, and that was it. They won. You know what I mean? It kind of felt like that.
It's happened a lot.
I'll be honest. That's sort of been Liverpool this season, apart from the last couple of weeks. Over Christmas they were grinding out wins, but they really weren't playing well.
Yeah.
And they were getting like 97th minute winners.
If you remember Liverpool at the start of the season, when we were playing them off the park with 11 men, they get somebody sent off, and they just suddenly found God mode or something like that at that point. You know what I mean? It was like they were playing in the Champions League final from that point on, and I felt like they started improving. But prior to that, I don't think they were all that good. I like to think we put them on for the rest of the season.
Yeah, but I still think they'll get more than one trophy. Like I say, I imagine them towards the Premier League, but I think they'll win the Europa League.
Yeah.
I think they'll win the Europa League, because I think they'll get more experience than Leverkusen if they met them in the final or a semi.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, yeah, but and that's it. Who do we think
Leverkusen will be focused on the league at that point.
So, obviously, United. We didn't mention the Chelsea-Leicester game, but it was also a bit of a mad game as well. You guys did end up going through, though, Dave, so you're in the semis. Problem is, you've got Man City.
At least it's at Wembley.
True.
That's true.
I reckon that Wembley hasn't been great.
I think if anyone can get a result against City in the semi, it's Chelsea,
us.
to be honest.
I feel like with both games we played, we probably could have beat them.
Yeah.
But it's City still. So
I did.
Plus, since they don't have any fans, Dave, it will surely be at Wembley. A lot with Chelsea fans there anyway.
True. Yeah, but a lot of their fans are probably from London nowadays anyway. I don't know.
No, that's Man United fans.
What are the Man United fans
they were probably
ex-Chelsea
fans that changed just a couple of years ago.
Yes, that is another good point, yeah. Could
so
be.
On the Man City shot. I went from dark blue to light blue. But I mean, City will be the favourites for the Cup, but can anybody else win the cup? Go on then. Predictions
Coventry.
for the cup, Dave.
City, obviously.
No,
I'd like
City.
to see Chelsea, then Coventry.
I've got to say, if we bring the chaos that we did yesterday, I don't see why we can't do something. I hope if we get to the final against City, I hope we put in a bit more fight than we did last year, because that was a bit rubbish, to be honest.
Mick.
City.
I do think. I'll be honest. I can.
Chelsea do something against them, then I think Chelsea might take it. But
yeah,
City.
We've lost 6 finals in a row. We could play against.
I would like to
see.
I'd like to see United Chelsea final, because I do think that will end up like 5-4 or something like that.
Probably.
Yeah.
It'll be like 2-0, then it'll go 4-2, and then it'll go 4-4.
I mean, I'd be quite happy to see a Man United Chelsea final. I don't particularly want either one of you to win it, I've got to be honest, because then that's another trophy you've got in your cabinet after being shit all season again, and that just is going to frustrate me.
We're a cup team.
You might be slightly improving, but if we look at the season as a whole, Man United are shit and Chelsea are shit. So are we, but fair enough. I just don't think you deserve
what we don't want is Coventry to beat us and then get smacked 10-0 in the final by City. We don't want that, do we?
But if Coventry could somehow go on and beat City in the final, it would be like...
It's not going to happen, though. They're going to get absolutely annihilated if they get...
Like a horrible story.
It'd be like when friggin' Birmingham went and won it. Won the League Cup.
Hey, look, these things have happened before. Watford have won the FA Cup.
Wigan
beat
City.
Beat City, yeah.
You never know. So
I've got a couple of things I want to talk about. I want to talk about Chelsea a bit more.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I've got a couple of things. So Disasi's own goal.
Oh, that was spectacular, wasn't it?
It was a thing of beauty.
Oh, yeah.
And the cameraman who got the shot of his face changing, where he plays a pass and he thinks it's going back to the keeper, and then he just goes,
"Where's Sanchez?"
Yeah. But also, so straight
after
those
ones when they showed it in the game, you were like, "How did that happen?"
Yeah.
Until you saw
because it was doing the replays, wasn't it?
Yeah. But so straight after that goal, whenever Disasi was on the ball, I couldn't tell if it was Chelsea fans booing him, which I think would be really harsh because I think he's been one of your best players, or was it Leicester fans saying shoot, which I think would just be top banter.
Honestly, I don't think we were booing Disasi anyway.
No, you're definitely booing Sterling.
I think the Chelsea fans were unhappy though. I mean, they were unhappy. I mean, at one point you looked as if you were kind of maybe going out. You ended up going through. And they were talking about, they were really having a go at all the players in Pochettino as well.
It wasn't all the players, it was Sterling and Park who were having problems with. Sterling in particular, he's not being a team player. He's just like on a different page to everyone else. Like the amount of one-on-ones he's had this season and not passed it for an easy goal, but just gone for it and either missed or just hit it straight at the keeper. He took a penalty when he's missed 5 out of his last 7. Whereas Palmer scored all of them. He took that free kick, even though he scored one recently, but he just hit it into Rose.
That landed in my back garden early on.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
And Mudryk was having a good game. So when he took Mudryk off instead of Sterling, the fans just lost it.
Yeah,
and I can understand why.
I kind of get that because it's not as if like Mudryk, we need to rest him because he's played too much this year. That's
he's not been playing,
So if he's playing well, why not let him just keep?
No, he's been playing. He's been playing really well the last couple of months, but he just keeps on playing Sterling.
I do think I do think there is something there for Chelsea to build on in that squad. It is too young to really put together any sort of. They're too young to put together any sort of league run at the minute. But if you get a couple of more experienced heads that aren't like a decrepit old Thiago Silva and Raheem Sterling doing whatever the fuck he's doing, you could do something.
We've back still four, got half our first team missing.
Yeah, I think the back 4 and 5 with Petrovic as the keeper, I think they look decent now. Chilwell instead of Cucurella, obviously. But I really like Disasi and Gusto.
Gusto's amazing.
I like him.
If you look at the personnel and look at their other raw potential, Chelsea's still got I still expect them next year with a couple of more
Chelsea
challenging for the Champions League again. You know,
Chelsea looked like a football manager team from a couple of years ago. You know, when you just buy all the young players and they all come good at the same time.
Yeah.
That's what they're going for. But you do in real life. I think you do need a couple of leaders in there. But I think Jackson, a bit like Højlund, Jackson is recovering from a slow start and he looks decent, even if he's still not quite.
He looks okay, but I don't think
looks a lot better.
I think you want him as your second striker. I don't think you want him as your number one. I think you need to go out and buy a proper striker.
He plays better off centre, doesn't he? Yeah.
But you know, you put Ivan Toney in that team, for example, and I think
sorry?
Ivan Toney.
Yeah, Ivan Toney would be very good in the Chelsea team, I think. Yeah. And there's a man who wouldn't. I don't think the curse of the Chelsea striker would annoy Ivan Toney. I don't think he'd give two shits about that. I have to be honest. That could be good for you.
Yeah, he's got enough self-confidence for the rest of the squad there, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. I expect to bring some toxic, toxicity with him though.
Well, yeah, but that's Chelsea. You've got a couple of cunts there.
I don't know.
You've had Lukaku, Costa. We could go on, but we won't. So we talk Burnley versus Brentford before we get into the Forest Point thing, which we'll wrap up on, or kind of wrap up on. But you'd mentioned obviously the Burnley versus Brentford game. It is important because Burnley managed to get a win for one of the few times this season. But I think extenuating circumstances, if Brentford doesn't get that, Reguilon sent off in the first sort of felt like 10 seconds of the game, does that result actually happen?
I don't know. I thought they looked all right going forward. They changed the goalkeeper, so they had Muric, who was their keeper last season, in rather than Trafford, and he had one slightly shaky moment where he was just not in his goal for a back pass at all, and he managed to rescue it.
Yeah, that one was.
But apart from that, he was really commanding the box well. Yeah, he was commanding his box quite well, and they looked a bit more solid defensively. But equally, Brentford should have won the game because they should have had a penalty.
Yeah.
Two penalties actually. There was a rugby tackle from Fofana, and there was one other foul I can't remember. Tony got wrestled down, I think. And actually,
was that right at the end?
Yeah. But and equally, their equaliser.
There was the goal that never happened at the end as well.
So I thought that was a bit harsh as well because Tony went barreling into the goalkeeper, but the ball was already past him by the time that happened. So
yeah, it was going in.
I think that was a bit. Yeah. But yeah, I think Brentford could have got something out of the game, but Burnley now.
I wouldn't have complained if it had been given. It's one of those.
Burnley are only 5 points from safety now, so they're right back in it.
But do you think that they are improving? That they're playing? I'm not sure they are. I think they've just got a couple of results against teams round about them, and that won't happen every other week because they won't always be playing teams round about them. I still think Brentford have got more in their locker than
I think Brentford will just about scrape it, yeah.
Of course, one of the other big factors that we have to take into consideration now is the fact that the bottom three has changed today because Forest have been deducted 4 points for PSR violations. So we'll talk about that a little bit. It turns out that they overspent by £34 million. And I'm not going to read a big lengthy statement that they made today or anything like that. They made a statement about it, and
I agree with them.
It was a decent enough statement. What did you say? Sorry, you agree with them?
I agree with Forest with what they're saying. The points that
they're
made.
making, but I don't think.
It's right because
maybe the point they're trying to make. But I'm going to add
basically made the deadline halfway through a transfer window. When half the time you can't sell your players within that first part of the window. They went and sold Brennan Johnson in that same transfer window, but it was after the deadline.
Yeah,
which would have covered them for what they've been done for.
It wouldn't have done because they didn't. They sold him. They sold him for 45 million.
Yeah, and they were only done for 34.5. So if they had sold him before that deadline, they wouldn't have had this points deduction.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have got. their whole point is they wouldn't have got 45 million for him there, and I agree. He wouldn't if they'd sold him before. They wouldn't have got enough for him to cover that. But
they would, because it goes over so many seasons.
They signed 40 players over. Exactly. They've signed 40 players since they've been up on massive wages. They signed a bunch of mercenaries.
And then they get no players like that.
Wages. How much did Jesse Lingard help them last year?
Yeah.
But yet they chose to go and pay him crazy wages. John Joe Shelvey, they bought and immediately sacked, basically right away because they fell out with him within the first couple of games.
How much did they pay?
Be a bit of a prick, but
how much did they pay Chelsea to loan Andre Santos and then go and sign someone else to play his position anyway?
Exactly.
They,
I
just think they made a lot.
I'm agreeing with the point that they're making. I'm agreeing with the point that they've made is that the deadline shouldn't be halfway through a transfer window.
That's a fair point, but I don't think
it should be at
they
the
would have
end.
still been over it.
But the thing is,
it was better for them to actually get 4 points deduction this year than it was to not buy any players last year. To be honest,
it's a 3-year rolling period. So that deadline, if you're waiting for the end of that deadline to be ready, then you've overspent anyway.
But I'm not saying that.
They're moaning that
nobody had come in to buy that.
They're moaning that they can't be upwardly mobile.
Somebody's going to buy the player.
It should exactly. They're moaning that they can't be upwardly mobile, but their owner's a crook. They've just chucked money at everything. I think about it. They've let Jorge Mendes go.
Allegedly.
Fine, whatever. But they basically let Jorge Mendes come in with his Filofax and go, right, sign half a dozen of these guys because they all need a contract. It's really poor management, and they deserve everything they get. To be honest,
I feel the same way. I agree with their point that I don't like. Me, I don't like PSA. I've never agreed with it for day one, irrespective of Newcastle being hampered by it. I've never agreed with it because I feel you should be able to put as much money as you have into a football club to be successful, because all the other successful clubs all did that in their history. And I've went back on various examples of this in previous episodes to talk about it. So I'm against PSR, but the rules are the rules at the moment. And I kind of look at Forest's situation, and everybody kind of knew by the way that they conducted themselves that this was going to happen because they'd spent far too much money. We could all see it, and we all said they've wasted money in this.
I'm pretty sure
they've wasted money there, and we could all see this happening.
I'm pretty sure when they first got promoted from the Championship and they went on that stupid spree, they bought about 30 players. We even said they're going to get knackered with this.
Yeah,
but
and a lot of it was
that the deadline shouldn't be the middle of the transfer window.
A lot of it was.
No, you're fair. That's a fair point.
A lot of it was Forest got promoted with a squad that was filled with loan players, and that's part of it. But they were just constantly buying new players, and not ever. Steve Cooper was turning up for training in the morning, and there'd be two new faces he'd never heard of. I do think they bought some good players in amongst all that. So I really like Murillo, their centre back. Anthony Elanga's had a decent season with them now that he's finally getting some proper first team football. Awonyi looks like a decent striker. He could play for a mid-table club in the league, elsewhere. And Morgan Gibbs-White, he's a good player as well.
I'm going to rephrase that. A bigger club's not correct. It's not in Forest or a big club. I'll say a currently more successful, richer club. I'll say instead.
Yeah. I think he'll go to Newcastle in the summer, and I think he'll do really well there. He's the type of player that Newcastle need, to be honest.
We are currently a bigger club than Nottingham Forest, although historically, I'd argue that they're a bigger club than us, to be honest. Not get the fan base, the success. So,
I say that
United need a centre back, and I think we could do worse than Murillo.
Nottingham Forest have actually had Nick DeMarco working for them about this, because I think they are going to appeal it. This point.
Of course, they're going to appeal it. Yeah,
they'll appeal it because why?
And already Nick DeMarco's 6-0 against the Premier League.
But it might be a case of it gets deducted by another point or something like that, like it did with Everton. But actually, 4 points doesn't seem that drastic, to be honest.
Yeah, especially when you're comparing it to Everton's 6.
I think that what they're saying is...
If it stays, do they get relegated, or does anybody think it's still going to be a Luton?
I think Forest might go down.
Yeah, neither of those two teams are really putting in the results at the minute. But Luton, I think the wind has really come out of Luton sails now. They went on a really good run where they were playing out their skins and not getting anything, and now they're just it's catching up with them, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're in a shaky nail, to be honest. I still don't think Sheffield United. They're screwed. But Burnley, I don't think are coming into any kind of form. I think the only question would be whether Everton gets another point deduction later on that drags them back into it. That's the only.
I can say an anti-competition case coming up against the Premier League about these PSR rules. If there's a lot of other clubs start chipping in with it, because there's just a lot of talk about it now from different clubs. It was in the Forest statement there.
Changed process anyway, haven't they?
Yeah, well, you've seen that. It's still not fair. Even you said that, Cam.
Yeah, I mean,
they've moved it.
Yeah, I don't think it's
still not fair.
It's still the same type of system.
It's still the same thing. It's still protecting the ones that have already got it. And
and with that respect, I don't agree with it. But at the same time, I can understand.
It'll be interesting to see.
Saying if it wasn't there, then how is anybody else be able to compare with? How could anybody else compete with Newcastle when they could just say, "I'll give you $5 billion" and just sign everybody that they want in 2 seconds? You know what I mean? That's not fair either. But
no, well,
it'd be interesting to see. I know Chelsea are under investigation for stuff that was happening while Abramovich was there, sort of similar to City, but they themselves are really tight on PSR.
Yes.
United are quite tight on PSR, so it'd be interesting to see if anything happens with those two. And I think if that does happen, I think it probably lends a bit more credibility to it.
Yeah.
Because I said at the weekend when Chelsea...
Clubs, I think if they need to, they've got assets that they would just punt to get themselves out of it.
We're going to get rid of a few homegrown players this summer.
Yeah. I think, United might have been in trouble if it was still the Glazers running the show, because they just wouldn't put their hands in the pockets to ease... Ineos, they might do it differently. They've already cleared off a bit of the debt. But, I was saying on Saturday when Chelsea were 2-0 up, that's a team that's cost £1 billion to put together, playing against a championship team who are going to get hit with a points deduction as soon as they come up. Even though they went down because they went down because they sold all the players and they couldn't afford to buy any new ones, and they're still going to get done with PSR. I don't, that to me seems a bit bonkers, because
I guess kind of caused they went down. Probably it was probably them going down that probably caused that. Whereas if they'd stayed up, they're probably
because part of
survived and been all right.
Part of Forest's sort of thing is 2 of the accounting years they were in the Championship, so their threshold was a bit lower. Surely that should count for Leicester as well. I don't know. I haven't seen the full reasoning behind it, but I do think it's unfair that teams are going to put everything into coming up, get a shitload of money because they come up, and then get points deductions. That's not fair, because that is earned income and they should be able to spend that.
Yeah. I mean, the whole system just doesn't work for me. I just don't know how it's supposed to work. I really don't, and I don't think there is a fair system unless the fair system is it depends how rich your owners is. Because then it's up to you. It depends how rich your owners are. You know what I mean? That was a fair system in the past. I just don't,
But it's, fine, that was how it was in the past, but that was still, for the most part, local businessmen building themselves up and then building their clubs up and the community around it. Whereas now,
I know it was at a lower level than
it's
now
big,
where we are.
Sort of multinational conglomerates who want to buy a team in every league. It's nation states who want to launder their money, and if you just let them do what they like, if you let them do what they like, it is going to ruin the game, not just at the top level, but at the grassroots level. Because, you even look at what Wrexham did getting out of the conference last season. Because of who their owners were, they got so many more income opportunities compared to the rest of that league. And now everyone's got to sort of spend more to keep up with them. Otherwise, they're going to get left behind. And there's going to be a few clubs that get left in the dust.
I think are they third or fourth in League Two?
With them, or do you let them just get promoted out of your league and move on to the next level, and then you carry on the next year after that?
Yeah, but fine. So
you have to say our club's not big enough to go any better than what it is.
Yeah, I know, but say you're in the conference and you've been building towards a promotion for a few years, and then out of nowhere, Wrexham buy a bunch of has-been Football League players who want a last payday and a last shot of fame, who probably don't have the legs anymore, but clearly have got way more technical ability than anyone else in that league. And all of the hard work that you've put in over 5 years is gone.
Well, that sucks, but that's football. I mean, kind of, that's how it works. That's sport. Everybody's trying to compete. Everybody's doing whatever's within their means to compete. I could feel hard done by, but look at all the years Newcastle might have done this or might have done that, but we just didn't have the money to be able to compete with the big people we were moving against. Man United were able to buy the best players. Liverpool went and poached some of our best players off us because we just couldn't keep them. We couldn't pay the wages.
Can I just say something here, Cam? You're saying we didn't have the money. We could have had the money. Mike Ashley was still a billionaire. He could have still done something about it. He starved of income from sponsorships and everything.
It was a horrible.
We could have went and done that, but Mike Ashley didn't want to. He wanted to freaking kill the club from the inside.
Fair enough, but I don't think we would ever have Chelsea money or City money. We didn't have that, or we couldn't have competed necessarily in wages with Man United, who at that point were sitting like shit and gold for wanting a better word.
We could have been challenging with like Spurs all that time. Do you know what I mean? We could have been up there doing that.
We could have been higher up the league and maintaining a better stadium and a better squad and all that sort of stuff. I agree with you.
We would never have got relegated.
My point is that at some point there'll always be somebody that's got more facilities to them, or they bugger up your plans because they make their own plans. That's football. It's competition. Every single club, 20 teams in the Premier League, everyone wants to win it, but only probably 5 or 6 have really any chance of doing so. But every one of them wants to get as high up the league as they possibly can every year, and they will cut and stamp on everybody's gran in order to get that extra place up the league than what they could get the year before. There ain't no friends in the Premier League, do you know what I mean? It's big competition, so I don't know. Anyway, I mean, we're not, to move on, because we're kind of at the end of the show today, we're not doing predictions because there's no Premier League games on. The next time it's basically just international friendlies, isn't it? I don't think it's even any competitive games that's happening.
There is some Euros.
Yeah, there's the players for the Euros, so there's 3 spots left in the Euros to decide. Wales are involved in that.
Who are Wales involved?
Wales, Ukraine. Who else?
Look at the fixtures.
Hang on, I'll get it up. Yeah,
I don't know who the other one is. Okay, so
it's on Thursday night.
Games coming up.
So you've got
playing.
Yeah, so you've got Poland versus Estonia, Wales versus Finland, Bosnia and Herzegovina against Ukraine, Israel versus Iceland, Georgia versus Luxembourg, and Greece versus Kazakhstan. And then they're playing off, and then they play a final on Sunday, I think.
Some pretty bang average national sides there, let's be honest. I think Wales ain't that good these days.
Ukraine are probably favourites at this stage, I think.
I would think Ukraine are favourites. You know, they did it last time. They beat us to get the World Cup. If you remember, for the World Cup place, they managed to beat us in the playoffs.
There's a couple of decent friendlies on Saturday, because you've got France against Germany and England, Brazil.
Yeah, England versus Brazil. Good. There's some decent friendlies, but they are just still friendly matches, and it does reduce the level. I mean,
it does.
At any point in us predicting the scores, do we care enough to even doing that? I don't think we do.
Netherlands versus Scotland, that could be tasty. That's Friday night.
Yeah, especially if Archie Gamble plays. But is there anything, looking ahead to the Euros, is there anything you guys want to talk about before we finish up? I mean, as a Scotland fan, I just hope we get an easy group and we get a chance to get through into the next round, which we've never done in our history.
You're in the group with Germany in the whole thing, and fine, they're not very good.
Are we in a group already?
Yeah. Joe's been done, yeah.
Who's in our group?
Of course.
All right, here we go. Euro.
Go on, Ryan.
Let's see if any of these are good.
It just goes to show how much Cam cares about
Germany.
international.
Germany doesn't scare me. Germany are pish. This is the worst they've ever been in their history. Literally, the worst that they've ever been in the history.
They're literally the hosts.
So you with Hungary and Switzerland as well?
Yeah,
Hungary.
Yeah, Germany, Hungary, and Switzerland.
Smash them every week.
And then you've got a group of death in Group B, which is Spain, Croatia, Italy, and Albania. They're all terrified of Albania in that group, I think. Yeah.
That was like
Slovenia, Denmark, Serbia, and England.
Yeah,
and I'm
getting through easy.
Yeah,
you know,
but I'm going to be in Frankfurt for that.
The question for you guys as England fans is not when you get through the group, how well you do in the group. It's whether you'll win the competition. We're on a different level, so I'm just hoping we get through into the knockout stages.
Yeah.
We never have ever in the history of any football tournament. But you know, you've won a World Cup, so you know, could you win the Euros? I think you will.
Well, don't say why not.
Yeah, I think
decent team.
Yeah, we're going to be one of the favourites along with France and probably Portugal. But you know what's going to be the knockouts.
You never know.
We've got a nice group.
I'm just going to point out this show's cancelled. I ain't coming on to talk to you after England never wins a tournament.
But I think we'll just speak to Kyle.
We would need to take an extended break.
Yeah.
You can just talk to Kyle now.
Kyle doesn't give a fuck. We'll just talk to him.
Because no, it's not happening.
But yeah, I think me, Dave, and Mick are going to go through who we think the England team should look like come the summer.
That's what we're doing next week, isn't it? That's next week's plan because there's no Premier League fixtures next week, so we're going to talk international football. And these guys, are going to go over their ideal England team. I'm just going to talk about England players that I hope
Gordon, Longstaff, Burn,
choose to go
the Cells.
And most of those are Newcastle players, so kind of there's where my focus will be. Other than that, I'll just sit and throw things at the screen and ignore you next week. All right, guys. So anyway,
Stones is a
that's
shit
the end of the
handling
show this week. We're not doing any predictions, but we will be back next week to discuss some international football while we're on the break, and then we'll be back the week after that. Premier League will be back again, and we'll be back to moan or be excited about our teams, depending on how well they do. So thanks very much, guys, for being here as well. Say bye-bye to everyone, because we're off for the night.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Tune in next week, and we'll be back.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.